What's the most bizarre thing you've encountered on a one-night stand? Not me, but a girl I know embarrassingly confided in me that during her only one-night stand, the guy had gotten up in the middle of the night while she was asleep to rearrange her pots and pans in her cabinets. And for some reason, he put her panties in her freezer, which she didn't find until days later. Dedicated prankster in college. I had to run to a meeting with a professor in the morning and left her one-night stand in my room. When I came back, she had cleaned my entire room, folded all my clothes, and left me little notes all over the place. Not overly bizarre, but not something that I would expect from someone you've known for 8 hours. That's freaking adorable. I hit it off with this girl after a night of heavy drinking, and we head back to her place. She lived in a nice, full-service apartment building with a dormant and fully employed staff that operates around the clock. We hook up and then pass out. I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and end up walking out the wrong door. I finally come to my senses, and I realize I'm in the building hallway, but naked. Worst of all, in my drunken, sleepy stupor, I forgot which apartment I came from. Not wanting to wake up any of the neighbors, I very quietly knock on a few doors to see if she comes out. I was stuck out there for about 45 minutes before one of the maintenance guys comes up and says to me, "What the heck are you doing?" I explain my situation, and he just walks away in disgust without saying another word. Luckily, he came back with a trench coat and had me walk down to the front desk, where I spoke with the doorman. He of course asked me where I came from and what was this woman's name, which I forgot. So there I am in a public lobby, wearing nothing but a trench coat, while the guy is reading off tenants' names in that section to see if any ring a bell. Finally, he hits a name that sounds familiar. So he calls her for a good 20 minutes before she answers and confirms that I was indeed with her. I will back up to the apartment, grab my clothes, and shuffle on out of there before things got any more awkward, which I'm sure was impossible. At that point, TLDR hooked up with girl walk naked out of her apartment accidentally. Much public shame followed. Come I explain my situation, and he just walks away in disgusted without saying another word. How unbro-like of him. I knew a guy once who went home with a girl, and she wanted to play him the cassette recording of the eulogy from her father's funeral the year before. How do you say no to that? So while he sat there uncomfortably listening to this, not knowing how to react or where to look, she unzips his pants and goes down on him. Her dad's eulogy playing in the background. Doesn't matter. Sad freaking for me. It was undoubtedly the time when the girl is staring into my eyes while I'm on top of her and tells me that she loves me several times with passion. I had just met her that night. I didn't really know what to do, so I just kind of kept going and avoided eye contact. Best possible reply to that scenario? Well, that's super I was bartending. Being a goth-themed bar in 2005, we normally had pretty much no traffic other than the regulars, so new people always kind of piqued my interest and walks a gorgeous punk girl. I'm 22 at the time, so caution didn't exist for me. This girl and I caught one another's glances all night. At closing time, she bodily pulled me across the bar and started making out with me, so of course I went home with her. I didn't have a cell phone at the time, and I left my own car at the bar. Huge mistake. For 2 days, I was trapped in her apartment after the bed minus supervised bathroom breaks. The freaking sessions were amazing and kinky. It was awesome. The first day I was saw and worried. By the end of the second, she also made me watch the movie May 2x3. She has to go to work. I figure by this point, she's going to kill me when she comes home. I break the crappy welds on the headboard to free myself, only to find my clothes have disappeared. I had to weigh her clothes, so in girl jeans that I was unable to button, a V-neck, bright orange shirt, and flip-flops that are entirely too small for me. With handcuffs dangling from both wrists, I exit the apartment and with as much dignity as I can muster, I walk down the street to the gas station and have them call me a cab. Worst best frick misadventure ever. TLDR, kidnap during college. Ended up going home with a girl who I can describe as well athletic since rugby is a sport. The last time I checked, things were going well until I was marinating my nether rod, and she screams, "Punch Emmy in the face up." She literally wanted me to beat the crap out of her and stay soft. I managed an awkward response somewhere along the lines of, well, time to hit the old dusty trail, and made a hasty exit. As a rugby player, I can tell you this is not unusual. Got there, and her flatmates, who'd already been out with her, began talking to me when she wasn't around, told me she was too drunk to do and hang with me. Then proceeded to tell me about her recent suicide attempt. They asked me to get a taxi home. I didn't want to stay, but I had no money, so I began sleeping on the floor of her room. She came back after about an hour of arguing with her flatmate, sat up and talked to me about stuff. Tried it on with me anyway. I was shocked and totally disinterested after all this hassle and just said I'm going to sleep, which she felt was perfectly acceptable, and let me sleep. She ran out of her room about 10 minutes later after her phone went off and comes back half an hour after that with blood on her shirt. She sat in her and sweet, talking loudly on a mobile to a friend, talking about how the flatmate she'd been arguing with was slitting her wrists in the room next to us. The biggest WTF moments in my life to date. TL Dr. Housemate argues with On before deed, tells me about On's latest suicide attempt, ends up slitting her own wrists after arguing with On's. You should have tried to a threesome. After that all went down, a friend of mine had a one-night stand crazy drug and alcohol fuel. Prelude at a party gets the girl back to his place. They drink and do more coke. The girl was taking pills also, but my buddy wasn't sure what kind. They end fricking multiple times at night. Friend recalls last round off fricking with slightly all his doing. Wakes up the next day, she's dead. My friend is convinced she may have been dead the last time he fricked her. And we have a winner, an odd aroma, then the tip of my weena, found a forgotten tampon up near the cervix. I'm getting dressed for work after morning fricking, and she proceeds to tell me she be a good stripper because she can completely control and open her, but hold no hands. She hops out from under the covers, but naked, turns around on all fours, and proceeds to show me her butthole opening skills. She was awesome. 4th of July, 2005. A large group of friends and I are casually hanging out at the local parking lot in my tiny, tourist-driven town. I'm a 15-year-old virgin, pretty tipsy from imbibing on Peachtree for the majority of the day. 2 very cute girls, obviously not from the area, walk near our group, but keep their distance. Most of the guys in the group notice, but because of young cowardice, don't approach them. My dear friend Eric and I decide we are the chosen ones. We saunter over and strike up conversation, and they eventually agree to accompany us to his parents' house so we can fill 2-liter bottles up with beer from the keg they always had stocked in the basement. If we fill the bottles, go for a long booth cruise, and end up at the beach. The girl that seems receptive to me asks if I'd like to go for a walk on the beach. My answer is obviously yes. We're barely out of eyesight when we start feverishly making out, and it eventually progresses to her pushing me down in the sand and blowing me good. I am elated. Laying in the cool sand on a beautiful summer night, having my first real adult experience with a pretty girl. Out of seemingly nowhere, I hear a sound I'm familiar with. Before I react much, she lifts her head mere inches above my dong and vomits all over it. I'm talking direct shot. Dong is covered in puke. Now I see how embarrassed she is. And I'm not that mad and want to continue this magical time. So I do my best to tell her it's not a big deal. I take my boxes off and wipe my dong off as well as I could the lovely lass without skipping a beat. Just start sucking away again. I finish and she swallows. I never saw her again. She was the one that got away. TL Doctor got puke on my dong, alright. So there was this time where I was with us girl and things were going great at a bar. And we ended up going back to her place for some fun times. We were about 20 seconds into it where she just stops and yells at me for cooming inside off her. She pushes me off and runs to the bathroom, yelling and screaming bloody murder at me. I try to convince her I had not came inside her, since I think I would know if I had. She would not believe me and kick me out of her house at 4 a.m. She calls me 6 hours later, asking for me to come over to pick up $50 so I could go buy Plan B for her. Being the nice guy I am, even though I was peas frick went and bought her some Plan B. I went back to her house, and she was in bed, and I threw the pill on her bed and started walking out. She then asked me to lay down and cuddle with her. I looked at her and said frick no. Then I left without ever talking to her again. I had a friend who took a not-so-hot girl back after a night out. He woke up, and she was rank-like, so did what any other sane person would do. Told her he had soccer practice and was late, but cue him putting his entire soccer strip on her getting up. The university wasn't far to walk where his pretend practice was, so she said she'd walk with him, as she lived near it. They walked university together, him in his soccer kit and her in heels, in a dress looking a fricking state. And then she holds his hand. They walk through the main university area, holding hands. The best image I've ever had in my head. Eventually he can't take it anymore and says he needs to go to the bathroom, so she says she'll wait outside the Union building. He goes in the front door, all the way throughout a fire exit, then runs home. Oh, and he gets home to find that JP in the bin in his bedroom in the night. He gets home to find that JP in the bin in his bedroom in the night. That's my favorite part. 2 years back, I had a creepy encounter with someone and I spoke to online. I traded a couple messages back and forth with this seemingly nice man. Media looks very kind. DDNTTLK like this. I'll call him Joe. He offered to pick me up and take me somewhere for a first date. I agreed to it. God, why did I say yes? When I woke up the next morning at around 10 o'clock, my mother rushed to me and asked if I knew someone who drove a white book. Apparently, there had been a man parked outside of my house for the last 2 hours. I peeked out of a window and watched the car as I gave Joe a call. The man in the car held a cell phone to his ear. Hello, hey, it's Summer. Are you outside my house? Yeah. I thought we could start the day early. I assumed he was just a really shy guy. I'm the kind of person who always keeps an open mind. Unfortunately, I got in the car. He began to drive. I tried to break the ice as best as I could, but he seemed so nervous and innocent. He didn't speak about where we were headed. I figured it was a romantic surprise for a first date. We parked at a hotel. Joe, what are we doing here? Oh, I'm staying here for the night and need to grab my wallet from the dresser. Come on in if you like. I figured it was safe since hotels are pretty public places. Yes, I understand that I was a moron. We went inside the room. I sat in a chair. He just stood there, didn't say anything, didn't do anything, didn't even look for his wallet. Are you worried or something? At this point, I was at a loss for words. I didn't want to give the guy a horrible time. What can I do to make you more comfortable? Help you be less nervous? Joe shifted towards me, sat on the bed, and burst into tears. Through his sobs, he explained everything. How last night, he drove 9 hours to my house. He was from GA, I am from N. I had no idea how he bought all this booze and was going to finally lose his V card to me. How he saved tens of photos from my Facebook and edited them on Photoshop to his liking. Then he began to poetically recite to me how divinely beautiful hours. I sawed off, just froze there. He got up and ran out the door. I looked out the hotel window and watched as his boot with his Georgia license plate faded in the distance. TLDR, a 30-year-old man drove 9 hours from Georgia to see an 18-year-old girl. He planned to boost her up and lose his virginity to her, but instead cried like a baby within the first 10 minutes of the date and immediately drove the 9 hours back home. I did not know he was 30. I hear you like meeting up with creepy guys who talk to you online. There's a girl at my uni who is known as Bible Basher. She's ridiculously fit 10-10 and could get any guy she wanted. So she does. She brings them back to her flat, then proceeds to get out her Bible full of annotations and post-tick notes and preach the guide to sleep dong and touch 10-10 master troll. Went home with some guy I met in a club, started sucking him off. He looks down at me as I had his dong in my mouth, sighs, and a creepy sing-song voice. Oh, you look like a babai. I guess there's a pretty big difference between you that feels great to the bae, and do you look like a babai? I would be mad if she came back with a butter dish and turkey baster with no turkey. This is close to the time I was hitting on a chick everyone thought was lesbian all night. I brought her home, and she wanted to invite a friend. Jackpot, right number. Her friend was her dad, and he had toys. I'm going to go throw up now, so I can forget this. You know the game the whole family can play. Not sure if this will be seen by minute, but I'd like to share a pretty crappy experience. I got out with a few friends, promptly got wasted, and by some small miracle, ended up going back to this fairly attractive girl's place morning after. She decides to soothe my hangover with a BJ, but before proceeding, she says, "You told me last night you don't really do one-night stands. Prove it? What's my name?" I completely froze. I buy some time by laughing, and through shield luck, I notice a picture frame with Emil I written on it in bold, colorful letters. Yeah, that was her sister's name. She died the previous summer, and I did not get that. Blowy man. Nose running. Wipe nose with back offhand one way, with brown thumb the other way. Yes, dirty Sancha said myself a girl with 12 fingers. It wasn't that she had 12 fingers. It's where she wanted to put those 12 fingers. Brought a girl back from the bar and commenced steamy time. She requested that we move to the bathroom for round 2-3. While the shower was warming up, she requested that we frick on the toilet. Sure, mid-frick the toilet shattered water and toilet everywhere. Thankfully, neither of this got her cut, and we finished up in the shower. TLDR brought girl back from the bar and banged on the toilet chatted. She did offer to pay for the toilet, but I'm a gentleman and didn't let her. A friend of mine, he did a one-night stand, and while she was in the bathroom prepping up, he felt the urge to crap. In his drunken haze, he saw her dog standing in the corner, and he decided he could blame it on the dog. Crap ensued, and she came back. She saw the crap and asked WTF he blamed it on the dog. She replied she didn't have a dog. She did have a porcelain figure of a dog. TLDR friend took a crap and blamed it on a porcelain dog. Apparently, not many other people feel the same way. But this is one of the funniest posts I've ever seen. I had part of my thumb bitten off for not remembering her name. The next morning, I met a girl at a bus stop. We eventually decided to go over to my place because that's what made sense. I had never met this girl before today. I keep my place extremely clean and with a minimalist mindset. That means no decoration or in anything personal anywhere. There is literally what I need and nothing else. Everything looks pretty new and modern, so it's not creepy anyway. She gets to my place and she comments, "This looks like the place from that American Psycho guy." It kind of does, and I say, "How can you frick women without killing them?" First, when I was 18, I went to a Halloween party with my friend at his uni halls. We ended up in town where we meet another group of young people, one of which was a very nice girl. I forget her name, but she said she was 19. She didn't seem it though, or 17, which I was fine with as the legal age is 16 over here in the UK. Full stop. She ended up coming back to the halls with us. All of us getting quite drunk. Blah, blah, blah. Skip to the end. We ended up in a spare dorm room that someone had the key to. I volunteered to sleep on the floor. She invited me into the bed. We started making out and getting hot and heavy. Soon my dong was out and I started slipping it in. She took control of the situation, directing it. I was in for 4 seconds. She took me out, put me back in again, took me in, pulled me out. I don't know. Maybe it was uncomfortable or something. This went on for 10 minutes until she shook me off, apologized, rolled over, and went to bed. To this day, I don't know what the problem was. I was as faced, so just chowed. I asked a couple of girls once if they knew what the reason was. They suggested I'd been used as a corn cob TLDR. I was once used as a corn cob while sporting devil horns, a penciled-on goatee, and a purple cape. It's possible she thought that was how fricking worked. Realized you weren't cool in a time, soon didn't know what she was doing wrong, felt embarrassed, and pretended to go to sleep. I got peed on once. Intentionally, it went okay. I met this awesome girl. We fricked twice, then fell asleep. A few hours later, she climbed on top of me. So, I thought, okay, here we go again. Number instead, she pees all over me and falls back asleep. Cologne. She was marking her territory. You belong to her now, we got married. That's what you get for partaking in a night of escalating days in college. I had a picture of Tom Brady on my wall. Brought home a girl, fricked, etc. Wake up in the morning, she flips out. You're a Patriots fan, she stormed out. Apparently, she was a Steelers fan and did not like the Patriots. Easy way out, nicely played Steelers fan. After a one-night stand with an older woman, my friend woke up to her sitting on the bed, playing the guitar, and singing him a song that's pretty rad. Honestly, a friend of mine, a single male, was picked up at a bar by a young woman who was looking for a good time. She took him back to her house where they did stuff. And afterwards, she just passed out. So my friend gets up and is getting ready to leave when he notices that there are gifts laying around her living room. Since this was not around the holidays, he thought it was odd, so he looked at some of them. They were wedding gifts. This girl had just gotten married. Fearing for his life at this point, he hightails it out there, but manages to get her name off of a piece of mail before he leaves. The best part is what he learned after he looked her up on FB the next day. She was a marriage counselor plot twist. The gifts weren't actually for her marriage. When she helps a couple get their marriage back together, she holds a small ceremony and party for the couple. It's kind of a more intimate renewing of their vows. It's come her tradition and something that she is well known for, to show their thanks. The couple sends her what would normally be on a wedding gift registry. I hooked up with a bartend one night, right after I came, and she felt my spludge hit her back, she said, in a very proper British accent. My, what a lovely tea party, a girl who was 22, but looked and acted 15. She said she had been pregnant twice, and half her co-workers were trying to sleep with her, because she had slept with the other half. She says she absolutely does not want to sleep with a guy. On the first date, I was living in the city at the time, and we walked around a bit, decided to get somewhere warmer, and walked to her place. Some light messing around. And she starts whispering frick me. I got out a condom, which she pushed away, but when I insisted, she completely lost her interest and said that she hates using condoms. Did not hit. I have to tell my friend's story. It's too good. So in college, he meets this Czech pick at a bar. He's a good-looking guy and gets a lot of women. So when he tells me this chick is really hot, I believe him. They make out in the bar and eventually go home together. On the walk home, she tells him that she has 2 cats and talks about how much she loves them. She refers to her cats as her daughters, which freaks my friend out a bit, but not enough to dissuade him. So they get to her apartment, and it's filled with cat stuff, pictures, porcelain cats. Cat dolls, the works. This crazy chick is obsessed with cats, but my friend is frisky, so whatever, he's still gonna do her and just excuse himself. After that, they proceed to have great freaking session. The chick's cats are in the room watching, which is unnerving, but whatever. Right as he's about to finish, he pulls out. The cat leaps over towards him, and he gizzes on it accidentally, all over it. Girl freaks out, obviously, and pushes him off. He grabs his clothes and runs out of their bus naked, while she grabs the cat and throws it into the bathtub, still screaming. TLDR guy comes on. Pea shooting her done, that preface art school students meet a girl at a party, hit it off back to her place. Good fricking, etc. etc. Wake up the next morning, and she left her notes saying she had a great time, but had to be somewhere. Left her number. Fast forward to about 3 months later. I'm walking down the street with some friends when lo and behold her, large like 7x10 featuring painting, is displayed in a window of me, sleeping in her bed. Yep, that's actually kind of awesome. When I was younger, I went to a local bar and ended up going home with a much older woman. After about an hour of messing around, we started fricking, and during fricking, she stopped me to reposition a framed picture of man on her shelf. The man looked kind of young and was dressed in a military uniform. Anyways, the whole time I'm humping her, she's just staring at this picture and literally started crying. I thought I was hurting her, so I stopped and asked if she was okay. She said yes and told me to keep going. The whole time we're fricking, she's crying and looking at the picture. The next morning, she's in the shower and I get my stuff to leave. Her sister, who lived there too, came in and started chatting with me. She asked if we had fricked and how was it. I said great, but she couldn't stop looking at a picture of some guy in a military uniform. Her sister told me that that guy in the picture was her dead son. Apparently, he had just got and killed in the line of duty. Talk about bizarre. Why the frick would she want to look at her own son while be fricked by some dude? Grosses me out even thinking about it. That's pretty sad. Actually, some say that alcohol brings out the real you. Drunk me looking to hook up, see this attractive girl, beer goggles on, try to engage in small talk. She is really into me. We get really smashed. Then she says she has 2 pee, I will be right back. I just have to reinsert my urinary catheter as my vagina is starting to itch. You know, last time it witched. I got a freaking beauty and it smelled for days. Beer gobbles off my eyes. The goggles do nothing. Not sure you could fully consider it a one-night stand since things ended a bit early, but here goes. Once I met this guy at a bar, we hit it off pretty much immediately, and next thing I knew, we were back at my place, and things were getting pretty hot and heavy. My mother always told me that the way to a man's heart was through his stomach, so I came up with this ingenious plan to secretly make a late-night snack for us. I got up making some idiotic excuse like I have to go to the bathroom or something and started preparing the snack. I had a Cornish hen thawing in the fridge anyhow, so I figured that at work got in the oven. I thought I'd get everything ready and head back to this guy, and the whole apartment would smell great in about 20 minutes and things would be awesome. I walked back to quietly check on him, still holding some of the kitchen implements, and I think he saw me, that sucker, screamed like a schoolgirl and ran out of the apartment. Midnight snack for one. In my opinion, if a chick started making Cornish game head in the middle of a hookup, that would be weird. Doritos will be fine. Happened to a friend of mine. She was with her friends one day, and they were all talking about this guy who was their sugar daddy, rich guy who buys you nice things in exchange for freaking relationship, etc. That they all had been sort of passing around. They turned to my friend and tell her that she should try sleeping with him because of the benefits. She was hesitant, but decided to go with it. When she finally meets up with this guy, they go on a dinner date to McDonald's. After that, they're driving to a movie, and he turns and says to her, "Do you mind if I stop by my house? I have to pick something up." And she says sure. They get to the house, and he invites her in and says he'll be back in a bit. With the house had many rooms, but was almost entirely empty except for on a TV and a bed in the middle of the living room, and the windows had bars over them. So my friend is waiting around, and 5 minutes go by, then 10 minutes, then 20. Now she's beginning to get worried. She begins calling for the guy and looking around the house. On top of getting no response, she finds that every single door is locked, including the front. Now she's getting really worried. Another 45 minutes roll by, and all of a sudden, a large black woman wearing a house coat and slippers comes in and begins yelling at my friend about how she's going to beat the crap out of her for fricking her man. As my friend desperately tries to explain, Sugar Daddy walks in and begins to try and calm the woman down. After some consoling, he proceeds to take the large woman into the next room and flick her brains out again. My friend begins searching for a way out. She ends up finding a door that had been left open and Sugar Daddy's keys. So she runs out, takes his car, drives to her house, parks a car about 3 blocks away, and walks home. Upon hearing about this, her friends were in complete disbelief. TL doctor friend goes out with potential sugar daddy, ends up trapped in a locked room, threatened by his girlfriend, listening to them fricking and stealing his car. I hooked up with a girl I met at a bar. When attempting to exit her apartment after the deed was done, she stopped me and asked me to stay to bake cookies with her. I said I had to go. She broke down into chairs, telling me how nothing in her life goes right. Gradually, she started breathing heavily whilst rambling about her problems until she was in a full-blown panic attack. I ended up staying to bake some Toll House cookie bars. It wasn't great, TL doctor. I stayed to bake cookies, my buddy, and I went out to a local nightclub. The second we entered, I told him we were going to pick up. I got hammered in minutes. Not too long after realizing that I had no idea what I was doing, my buddy and I were approached by two attractive girls. We took them back to my place. I remember getting head and promptly passing out. Next morning, my buddy wakes me up and tells me he got some last night. Like me, he got wasted and also slept with a girl. I didn't get either of their names. Seriously, I had no idea what I was doing that night, but when I logged on Facebook, I had a friend request waiting from someone who looked eerily like Smedgel from El Outer. There was a note in the request, sorry. You were completely passed out, and I wanted to be able to find you on Facebook, so I checked your wallet, TL doctor. I got hammered, picked up a chick, found out I got head from Smedgel. She went through my wallet the next morning. Come on, man, that is precious. She wanted me to scratch her while we're doing it. Start scratching her back number. Scratch Emmy. She grabs my hand and digs my hand in her. I'm like, all right, he likes to get scratched up, so I'm scratching her, freaking her brains out. She's pretty petite. Might I add choke him, okay? So I put my hand on her throat. Number harder. She pushes my hand into her throat. The bed is bangling up against the wall. Her face is getting red. I'm choking the crap out of this petite girl. Felt weird, but I kind of got off on it. I still feel weird about it, but she was enjoying it. Find out later in my life, I really like having my current so choke and tie me up and vice versa TL doctor. Find out I'm a sadomasochist. Was out and about, got drunk beyond belief, and hooked up with a girl good looking, funny the works. We get home to her place and starts to get on. But I couldn't perform being drunk heck, but she really wants to frick so she tries her best to transform my limp dung into something worthwhile, but to no avail. When we got back to their place, they called a male friend on the phone to come over. Dude was clearly gay. After about 30 minutes of playing truth or daring not being dead once, I think he figured out all three of us were straight. The argument about which one of us they thought was gay went on. For weeks met a girl from Plenty-or-Fish, met her at the local martini bar. Talked for a bit, and she was nice, but not too sharp, so I knew I wasn't going to be interested in another date. She must have picked up this vibe or something, as she was a little handsy at the bar. She invites me back to her place to watch a movie, so I figure I do my business and bail claiming and business trip or something get to her place. She hits the bathroom and comes back, lays on the couch with her legs across me, and I notice she's removed her panties from under her dress. I suppose she could have been commander all night. She sits up and we make out. I decide to finger her a bit, as she has provided the access. After a few seconds with two, she says more, so in goes the third finger again. She says so I up it to 4. She's going notes. Never seen a girl so wet, so I start rubbing her clit with my free hand. She says more again, so I do this awkward duck head thing to get the thumb in there. And she reaches down, grabs my wrist, pushes it in, and says more, almost angry that I'm not elbow deep already. So I start slow, but she's literally humping my fist. And before long, I'm churning butter. She came at least 3 times. My first time with a squirt to 2 freaking was mostly tame. I was a little weirded out, and it was as loose as you'd imagine. If I hadn't had a super thin condom, I don't know if I would have been able to finish. That's why I put it in her butthole and tell her to cough when you want to finish. If you're new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day until then. Check another video by For Now. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.